What's going on, everybody? TJ here from TJ's Take to break down the single game tonight. We got Thursday night football between the Tennessee Titans. They're visiting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Low total tonight. Um, Not the most exciting game in the world, but any game is exciting when you have a single game. So, if you're not in on this, I would suggest you do. It makes a boring Thursday night game a lot more exciting if you're playing DFS and you have a few lineups and some skin on the game. Um, it should be a pretty fun one. This is probably my favorite single game that we've had so far. Just because we can leave so much salary. I was making lineups earlier where I left almost 9,000 or 10,000, like $8,500 on the table. Just so many options here, so many different places to go. Don't know how this game is going to go. Love both kickers. Kickers are always low owned. Um, if you're new and haven't watched the video before, I cover FanDuel. That doesn't mean you can't take what you have here over to DraftKings, Fantasy Draft, whatever else you play. Um, on FanDuel and DraftKings, the difference is FanDuel, you have 5 spots. It doesn't cost you extra for that MVP spot up top. On DraftKings, I don't know if they call it MVP or star or whatever. Whatever their top spot is, I think you have to pay 1.5 times the price. So I stick to FanDuel. I think it's a little easier. I only have to stick to 5 guys. Sure, you won't be as different as you may be on DraftKings, but like I just said, we can leave enough salary to hopefully be super different. FanDuel's doing something a little weird here. I just looked at the contests, and they have the regular $9, which they do a huge prize for, which is 150K, and then they have, what is it, 75,000, 50,000. They drop from there, and they have a bunch of top prizes, but there's about 100,000 people in that one, and they just added one that's $9.99, so only 99 cents more. There's only 30,000, a little less than 30,000 people in this one, which your top prize is still 100K. So I've kind of been dabbling with that one a little bit, just because the next prize down from the 100K and the 9.99 is 10,000. So you take a bit of a hit there, but we're going for first anyways. We're going for a perfect lineup. That's our goal. So, with that many less people, you're not going to split with as many people if you do hit that first, or it's a lot easier to get it by yourself and hit that 100K with 29,000 people, as opposed to risking going against 100,000 people. There's going to be more people, or obviously a higher chance of people having your lineup. So let's dig right into it then. One thing I wanted to mention, I did get a few questions about how to approach some of like the main slates and stuff for Sundays, some of the full roster slates for football. So I'm going to try and do a podcast before Sunday, kind of how to approach it. We'll talk about game stacks, just how to build successful cash and tournament lineups. But yeah, let's dig right into this one. Tennessee at Jacksonville. First look, I like going a lot of ways in this top spot tonight. I think we have numerous options. Obviously, Derrick Henry, the 2 QBs, Leonard Fournette, and then I like throwing Chark, even a Delaney Walker. I love the kickers tonight in the top spot. We saw Monday night, Jets and Browns. Browns went for it on fourth down there, but first place had the kicker in the top spot. They kick a field goal there, and Odell doesn't break off that huge play, that the kicker gets that top spot pretty easily. I think Le'Veon ended with 16-9. I think the kicker would have had around 16. So it would have been pretty close. Obviously, the game changes if you kick that field goal, so who knows what would have happened. I think there will be a lot less scoring in this one, so don't be afraid to throw some kickers in that top spot expecting this game goes low scoring. If you're making a lot of lineups, then I would definitely have some exposure to both of these kickers up there. So first look, I was kind of surprised. I kind of thought the ownership would kind of go more towards the Jags in this game just because there's more options. I think there's more big play threats, but it looks like from a projection standpoint, a lot of people are leaning Tennessee's way. I think Derrick Henry is going to be way too high owned. I like fading him today, but he could very well be in those top 5 players, and we could very well have a cheap person sneak their way into the top 5. So you might need to sneak Derrick Henry in there, and it might just be the top 5 scorers of the day are the people you need in that spot. It's not gonna salary's not gonna matter. I mean, you're not gonna have Henry, Mariota, Minshew, and Fournette be the top 4 scorers most likely. I mean, definitely could happen, but I just see a lot of value down here where numerous different things can play out. So, like I said, you can throw all those guys in the top spot. I like pretty much anybody today. I think one big play could basically seal the deal. It could be a receiver, could be one of these backs. One huge play could do it. This game could be complete opposite. One team's playing catch up. Jags score a couple early. Tennessee comes back. And last year, one of the games these guys played, Derrick Henry broke off a 90-yard run. And I think that was a single game as well. And he went from not doing anything to being the top scorer on the board. So I think a lot of people will go Derrick Henry just because they're looking at last game. They see that huge run. But this Jacksonville defense is very good, and Derrick Henry was not doing anything before that. So I think I can fade him here, and that's a way we can be different. I'm obviously going to have a little exposure to him because he is the number 1 back. We'll always play a number 1 back in these single games. But I don't know. I think fading him is probably the way to go here. Some sneaky guys we have on here. Corey Davis, I think he'll be a little higher on. People like going to Corey Davis. Hasn't had very much production so far. D.D. Westbrook was supposed to be the number 1 target going into the season. I think he still could end up being that number 1 target. We have Chris Conley on here, who might not see as many snaps today. I'll get into that in a little bit. We got this Chark, who I don't know where he came from. He looks unbelievable. In 2 games so far, he had a 22 and a 15, but he did catch a touchdown in both of those. So without that touchdown, could take a hit, but still good points, enough to get in that top 5. Delaney Walker, I think he'll definitely be a little higher owned. We have A.J. Brown, a deep ball threat. Don't love Deion Lewis. I thought he was going to get... they were going to give him the ball a lot more this year, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Adam Humphries, another guy I thought they might get the ball to this season. And Marquise Lee. Marquise Lee last year tore his ACL and was out for a long time, and he's still kind of on the road to recovery. I think he played about 12 downs last game, and he's just getting better and better every week. So look for him to play about 18 to 20 snaps tonight, and nobody's going to be on him. They just think he's not in the mix at all. He didn't catch a ball the past 2 weeks, so I don't see anybody going to him here. He's 6K. That's why I brought up Conley there. He might get fewer snaps because Marquise Lee steps back in there. We saw him a couple of years ago, and I think even beginning of the season last year. This guy has 20-point upside and can definitely catch the deep ball. James O'Shaughnessy and Swaim on Jacksonville, both tight ends. O'Shaughnessy's been more of the guy when it comes to catching the ball. I love him tonight at 5,500. Don't forget about Swaim. Should be lower owned. If he catches one, that'll put you right up there. And then Tajay Sharp for Tennessee. Could get in there and catch a few balls. Again, super low owned. But let's get into making some lineups here. I'm going to start with Minshew. This guy can get points on the ground, and I think he doesn't look like a bad quarterback at all. I mean, these past 2 games, Kansas City, not a great defense, but put up 18.6 against them. I mean, obviously got in the game after Foles got hurt, so probably could have gotten to about 20 there against not the greatest Kansas City defense. But then he went and played Houston, a pretty decent defense where, he ran 6 times for 56 yards. He completed 23 of 33. I like him. I like him a lot in this one. So I'm going to plug Minshew up there and then put a couple of his targets behind him. And I'm just going to go ahead and start with Chark. And then I'm going to go get O'Shaughnessy. And so this layout's more Minshew is going to throw to Chark and O'Shaughnessy. Maybe one gets a ton of yards, one catches a touchdown. They both catch touchdowns. And then I'm going to come back here and plug in Santos, the kicker for Tennessee. That leaves us with 18-5 remaining. We don't even have a player close to that. So we can plug in whoever we want here. I'm going to go ahead and plug in Derrick Henry. That still leaves us $3,500 salary. I like playing the running back and a kicker together if they're going to be my two guys on the opposite team of my MVP, and I'm having my MVP throw to two guys. So I like no touchdowns on the other side, on the Tennessee side. So that means field goals and rushing yards. So that's why I'm going to take that approach there. Pretty easy one to build there. Like, you can go anyway with this. Minshew, two of his targets, and then those two guys. And we can even take Chark out, go plug in a Conley, or here, let's go plug in D.D. Westbrook. You leave $7,500 on the table. That not many people will be willing to do that, and if they do, they'll be going up to get Derrick Henry. So let's take Derrick Henry out and go put a Delaney Walker in there. Let's say Delaney Walker catches a touchdown. Or you can even go put Josh Lambo in there and say it's more Jacksonville wins this game 20-3, 20-6. And you need both kickers. Lambo kicks a couple field goals. Only thing that really happens is Minshew throwing to those other guys. But right now I have Minshew, Westbrook, O'Shaughnessy, Santos, Delaney Walker. That leaves $10,500 on the table. Take Delaney Walker out, put Lambo in. You're leaving $13,500 on the table. That lineup will be very, very low owned. I love that one for the $9.99 and the $100K with only 30,000 spots. I think that is very interesting. Leaving that much salary, it looks bad. You might not want to do it, but play these enough and it'll look beautiful to you, I promise. Let's go more of a Tennessee approach with this one. Mariota, I'd never like putting Mariota in the top spot. I just can't do it. I think if he's going to throw to someone, the problem is if he does score with his legs, that can be tough. But I'm going to go ahead and plug a Corey Davis in that top spot and then follow with Mariota. And then I'll go ahead and throw a Delaney Walker in there as well, since we're going to go more Tennessee base. Then I'm going to go get Jacksonville's kicker, 15-5 remaining. Then Leonard Fournette. You leave $2,500 on the table. Kind of the same, just kind of flip-flopped here. More Tennessee heavy. Went with Corey Davis, maybe catches a touchdown from Mariota. Mariota can get some points with his legs. And then he throws to Delaney Walker, gets some yards, maybe a TD. Then the other side, we have the rusher and the kicker for Jacksonville. So I think you guys should be able to, understand what I'm doing there with the kicker and the running back on the opposite side. Now let's go and let's put some of these kickers in the top spot. I'm going to go with Lambo here. Put him in the top spot. I'm going to follow it with a kicker because whenever we have a kicker in a top spot, we want low-scoring games. And then I'm going to go ahead and get both rushers here. Derrick Henry, Leonard Fournette. That leaves us 13-5. So maybe a receiving threat. It's targeted a lot. Should get some points. I'm going to go ahead and get... DD kind of scares me. I could get a Marquise Lee. I could go down to O'Shaughnessy even. I'm going to go ahead with Corey Davis again. So that leaves us $4,500 on the table. We've got Josh Lambo up top, both rushers, Santos, the other kicker for Tennessee, and then Corey Davis, and that leaves us $4,500. That's a pretty good build. One way to be super different in these tournaments, which I don't mind the play at all, put Marquise Lee in that top spot. Like I said, this guy does have 20-point upside, and if he does get 18 to 20 snaps, he could score a touchdown on one of those. So I'm going to go ahead and plug him in up top in the top spot, Follow him with Minshew. We're going to go ahead and get Tennessee's kicker again. And obviously we'll follow that up with Derrick Henry. That leaves us 15-5 remaining. Go ahead and get Leonard Fournette there and leave 2,500 on the table. Don't forget about putting Fournette in that top spot. Could definitely score a couple touchdowns in this game. Don't forget about putting Chark in that top spot tonight. Conley, I would be a little hesitant about. I think he's going to be a little too high owned with Marquise Lee coming back. The price is fair at 10-5. I mean, this guy was targeted 5 times last game, 7 times the game before that. I do like him. I mean, he seems pretty consistent, but it's just they are taking snaps away from him. Not saying don't play him, but they are taking snaps away from him. Another build I want to go through is putting A.J. Brown in that top spot, a deep ball threat that can definitely rack up the points here. So we'll go ahead and put him in the top spot. And let's kind of make this more of, say this is more of kind of a shootout game, which we don't really expect. So A.J. Brown up top, followed by Mariota, followed by Minshew, throwing to Chark. And then we have 11,000 remaining. I like just coming down and grabbing one of these kickers. Make it simple. I'll go with Lambeau. You can go either way. I like Santos or Lambeau. You leave about 2,000 on the table. I like that build. Let's make one. Let's do kind of what we did last video, and make a cash lineup that seems safe. So put Leonard Fournette up top in the MVP spot. We'll follow him with Minshew, Chark. Trying to think of how these cash games would go, because they're definitely going to have Derrick Henry in there somewhere. So let's go Fournette, Minshew, Chark, Henry, and O'Shaughnessy. That'll probably be a pretty popular lineup. So what can we do to make it different? I'm immediately taking Derrick Henry out of there, and I'm going to go grab the kicker. Don't be surprised if the kickers outscore Derrick Henry tonight. You immediately leave 5,500 on the table if you just do that alone. But having Fournette in that top spot and 2 receivers which Minshew can throw to can be a little dangerous, because that's just too much exposure to Minshew. So you'd either want to flip those 2 and put Minshew in the top spot followed by Fournette, or we can just go ahead and take Chark out here and come down and get an A.J. Brown, another deep ball threat. So we have Fournette, Minshew, A.J. Brown, Santos, and O'Shaughnessy. That is $10,000 left on the table right there. So just a couple simple changes from your cash lineup can actually make an amazing tournament lineup. And then it's kind of easier if you do it that way. That way, when you're kind of making your builds, just going through the picks, you're more likely to go up there towards the top and pick one of those guys because you have enough salary. If you do it like this, you're less likely to just pick around at the top guys. You're more focusing on just the players themselves. Start from the bottom and go up. I mean, you look at O'Shaughnessy and then you look at Chris Conley up here, $5,000 difference. O'Shaughnessy can easily score more than Conley. You see a Lambeau down here at 9,000, and you have Mariota up there at 14.5. Well, Mariota has scored. He scored 24 against Cleveland's first game, pretty good. But this last game against Indy, a pretty decent defense, only 13 points. And he goes against an even better defense tonight against Jacksonville. I mean, he could score a 9 or a 10, and one of these kickers could easily get 12. So just things to think about there. Cover any more news. Conley was a little banged up. I think he's going to give it a go tonight. He should, at least. I would just monitor that news. Again, monitor any Marquise Lee news. I think there was a question about Alfred Blue. He's out. He's on the IR. Any other week? Don't forget about Tajay Sharp down there. I mean, he doesn't get in the game much, but hey, one of the wide receivers goes down, he's going to be in there. He is a deep play threat. Be super low owned. Again, not huge on Derrick Henry. I love Gardner Minshew today. Love the kickers today. And I really like Marquise Lee. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'll try and get another podcast in for this Sunday for the main slate. It's 1 p.m. only. It's 4:25 games. Cover all those. And don't forget about baseball. We still got baseball rolling on. Basketball's coming up soon. Um, Other than that, ask me questions on Twitter. You can post them on the site in the comments section. Have a good one and win some money.